Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. If you weren't aware, PVM Week is returning to Runescape on April 19th for its second ever appearance. If you weren't around for the first one, you are definitely not going to want to miss this one. Going from what we know in the news post, we will have double Reaper points, as well as double Slayer points, double combat experience, reduced if not zero death cost, and some other unreleased news. So that raises the question, how should you prepare for it, and how will you be able to make the most out of it? Well, here are my 7 easy tips to make sure you maximize your time. For number 1, start doing your farm runs now. We aren't sure if we'll get the free Elder Overload like we did last time, so making sure you're stocked up on all of your potions is going to be key. Every farm run, you can get anywhere above 30 herbs, which is 30 to 50 potions that you won't have to be spending a ton of money on. If you start farming your own herbs today, once per day, by the time PVM week hits, you could have saved yourself almost 10 million herbs alone, and if you were farming Toadflax, could have farmed yourself almost 2100 brew doses on average. This goes for pretty much every and any herb, so figure out which potions you need and what herbs make them. Some popular ones to get you going are Overloads, Adrenaline Potions, Super Restores, and Ceradomin Brews. For number 2, start learning the bosses you'd like to do in practice mode. If you're hoping to start doing some God Wars 2, Araxor, Nex, or even Telos for this PVM week, start learning those bosses in practice mode now. That way, when April 19th comes, the reduced death cost will lessen the stress of your first real attempts, but you won't be going in blind, potentially wasting supplies and money by trying to learn them. This turns your reduced death cost into a safety net and not a crutch, and will hopefully allow you to profit going forward. If you don't know where to start, I have some really helpful guides for nearly every low-level boss, so feel free to check those out to get started. For number 3, get used to Reaper tasks. I know a lot of my audience is more towards beginner level PVM, but if you weren't aware, you can get once daily Reaper tasks from death for small to medium amount of boss kills. Completing this will give you Slayer experience and a currency called Reaper points, which can be used to buy a bunch of great things from death. The most profitable being the Uncut Hydrix, which sells for 70 mil on the Grand Exchange. This costs 300 Reaper points, which means each point costs around 233k. This is going to be hugely profitable for you when you realize that even the beginner tasks give you 5 to 10 Reaper points on average, and since they're going to be doubled for this whole week, that means for beginner Reaper tasks you can get anywhere from 10 to 20 points. That means if you do every Reaper task for the whole week, you can get approximately 140 Reaper points, which is 32 mil in profit. For number 4, get gear setups for each of the combat styles. It's likely that the Rex Matriarchs will be released over Combat Week, so be prepared to try to hybrid if you want to give them a go on release. It's unclear if they'll be solo, duo, or group boss, so potentially have a friend or two lined up if you think you'll struggle. If you're looking for an easy hybrid setup, I'd suggest a War Priest of any kind, and then just some basic weapons of the highest tier that you can afford. You can be sure that there will be a video on them from me, so if this ends up being the case and they're released that week, make sure you check back here for an easy guide. For number 5, utilize the double combat experience. If you don't have max combat stats, this is your chance. You can train them however you want, but doing trash runs at 83 is going to be far and away the best option to train them quickly. You can do this solo or in a group of up to 3 people, so grab your friends and your best AoE weapons and head on in. You can be getting up to 1 million combat experience per hour, so before you know it you'll have a maxed combat account and will be able to take on some higher level bosses. For number 6, get a good revolution bar that you're comfortable with. There are a lot of different options and configurations out there, but here are a few that I would suggest for each of the combat styles. Some key abilities on here that you may not have are Tuska's Wrath, abilities from the Mazcab ability codex like the Corruption Blast and Corruption Shot abilities, and then abilities from the World Wake quest like Death's Swiftness and Sunshine. These abilities can be skipped if you would like, but they are very strong abilities, so if you can afford to get them or finish the quests, it would be a big help to you when bossing. For number 7, we have try to unlock Invention or upgrade your perks. A lot of people don't really know what's going on when it comes to Invention, and they don't know which perks are good for their gear. They end up wasting a lot of potential and money with perks that don't help them at all. While this isn't going to be an in-depth look at perks, here's a list of them that will really benefit you when you're doing and learning PVM. If you'd like to know more, type /wiki optimal PVM perks in your game bar to be taken to the wiki that will be way more helpful than I ever could be. Some good all-around perks that you can be working towards though are on your weapons, Equilibrium, Precise, or Aftershock, as they're almost always the best, and the highest level you can get will be better. And then for your armor, you can look at things like Enhanced Devoted, Crackling, Relentless, Biting, Impatient, or Mobile, as they are all good choices. Unlocking the Ancient Gizmos by buying an Ancient Gizmo blueprint off the Grand Exchange will also make these perks much easier to achieve. You can normally only unlock this at 85 Invention, but if you have the ability to make extreme Invention potions, you can unlock them as early as level 68. We don't know what else is going to be released with the April 19th combat week, but you can be sure that this is your time to try those harder bosses that have been too scary for you before. Make sure you take it slow and really understand the mechanics of any boss you'd like to try, and at the end of the day, don't be too upset if you die a couple times. Death cost will be reduced, if not zero, for the whole week, meaning it is much less punishing for learners and is your absolutely best time to try. But that brings us to the end of the video. Are there any tips and tricks you feel like I didn't mention? Leave them in the comments for everyone to see, and I will make sure to pin my favorite. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Zingy out.